interview, sir. It's really honor to interview you. So you're a CFA and MBA, and Harshit sir has also gotten medal during his MBA times from the then Minister Piyush Goyal. That time, what minister he was, I didn't read that post properly.
Yeah, he was the Minister of Commerce and Industry.
Oh, okay, okay, oh, okay.
Yes, as IIFT is within the Ministry of Commerce, right? So it's usually every year it's the existing Commerce Minister who visits the campus to award students.
So it's an absolute honor to have you. And
Thanks for having me over.
so today we'll be talking about how we can apply the theoretical concepts which we have learned in MBA and CFA to the real life practical settings, especially in like workplace and all. So starting with the first question, like sir, during your MBA, what were the key learnings which really matter to you even today? What were the skills which you acquired during your crucial skills which you acquired during your MBA?
Sure. So, Anto, as you would know, MBA programs are pretty comprehensive, right? They give students exposures to various fields, not just one or two fields, but across marketing, finance, operations, HR. So, pretty comprehensive that way,
Mhm,
right? In terms of my own MBA, I majored in finance, while we
mhm.
also had this option of having double majors. So, the other one I did was in marketing.
Oh, okay.
Since I built a career in financial services, for me, I would say the highlights, as you asked, would
Mhm,
be the courses on financial accounting there were two different courses on financial management in the very first year, right? So
mhm,
someone who's not from a finance or a commerce background while entering
mhm,
into an MBA, I think those are pretty crucial to build a good foundation, right? So I think
mhm,
that's where it all starts from. And also the faculty and the way the courses are held, that plays a
mhm,
key role. So that's the initial aspect, right? Which is the first year of MBA. In second year, you have the option of majoring and then you go for electives, right? So
mhm,
you become more specialized in your
mhm,
field. Like some
mhm,
of the courses we had were on securities analysis and portfolio management, financial derivatives and risk management. One was completely on risk management, right?
mhm,
Another good one was on financial modeling. So
mhm,
these are few of the ones, and you have others as well. Like, there's a set of courses, there's a pool
mhm,
from which you can select courses. You have to complete a minimum number of them to
mhm.
be awarded a major in that particular domain. So
Okay,
the ones I named were a few of the most memorable ones for me,
okay.
and I think, very important in the industry as well. If you look at it
Mhm,
from that standpoint, right? In your
okay.
jobs and in terms of the demand that they have.
Mhm. Oh, yeah. So when you were in the first year of MBA, did you like make up your mind that finance is for me, something that sort of? Uh,
So I had not arrived in the MBA institute with any particular preference, of that I want to be in this field. I just want to go into finance or into marketing because I was a fresher, right? I jumped into MBA right after my engineering. So I think the very first year really helped me understand what
mhm,
are my preferences, which sort of courses I like, what I want to be doing, and where I want to be building my career in. So
mhm,
if you ask about the first year, no, it wasn't like I didn't have a strict preference as such, but later on, as I went through it,
mhm,
I sort of developed affinity towards finance and
mhm.
yeah, planned to do it
Okay.
as a major.
Okay. So, sir, is there any bridge between engineering and finance? Like, we can see that a lot of engineers today are excelling in the field of finance. So, according to you, are there any things in engineering which are connected to finance, which is helping the engineers be good financial professionals?
Definitely. So, see, in engineering, you learn a lot of problem solving skills, right?
Mm-hmm.
And um, analytical skills. right?
Mm-hmm.
If you think about it, I
Mm-hmm.
think the principles of engineering as a domain and finance, the key skills that you need remain the same, right? Which is like uh, being good with numbers, liking the analytical part of it,
Mm-hmm.
solving problems, and sort of deriving conclusions on the basis
Mm-hmm.
of the information provided. So I think
Mm-hmm.
those key skills which engineers develop, that
Mm-hmm.
really helps them be good at finance as well. I wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
say that every engineer can be good at it. It
Mm-hmm.
takes a certain level of passion to
Oh, okay.
achieve success into that. But in terms of the skill sets, right, I think what engineers are doing and learning in their undergrads, it's really helping them
Mm-hmm. Oh,
be good, yeah, in this
mm-hmm.
field as well.
Oh, okay. So now talking about your CFA, so from your CFA, are there any highlighted learnings which is being very crucial even up to this date?
Yeah. So, see, talking about CFA, it acts as a great supplement, right, to your knowledge and skill sets in
Mm-hmm.
finance. So, sometimes, as you would have yourself observed, that due to the rigors of the MBA programs, right, which involve time constraints and the whole lot of activities and other subjects which
Mm-hmm.
students are involved in, one may feel that though one has touched a large breadth of topics in finance, one
Mm-hmm.
hasn't really gone deep enough into each one of those, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's where CFA plays a crucial role, where it would be like you have 10 different modules which are very
Mm-hmm.
focused on each
Okay.
of these different topics, like corporate finance is one, equity would be one, fixed income, derivatives, economics, etc., right? And those are spread across three different levels. So that when you're going through that program, that really helps you develop a very in-depth expertise, right, in each one of those. And then
Mm-hmm.
throughout the course of the program, you can also identify your own strengths and what you like the most. So for me, there were quite a few highlights,
Mm-hmm.
from the entire curriculum. But if I have to name probably the single most important concept in finance, which I started appreciating a lot more having gone through that curriculum, was the time value of money,
Okay.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And we appreciate it even more when we look at it in not just in terms of like a standalone concept or as a base concept, but rather in terms of the large number of concepts which are derived from it, right? You talk
Okay.
about valuation models like DCF,
Mm-hmm.
dividend discount model, Gordon's growth model, etc. Or
Mm-hmm.
think about the project appraisal concepts, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
NPVs, IRRs, or
Mm-hmm.
other investments and personal finance in general, like life insurance, annuities,
Mm-hmm.
future value of your investments. Everything is based on the time value of money, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
and this is again this keeps getting touched, throughout this curriculum, and it's not like just limited to one particular module, which is like corporate finance or equity, but throughout, right? Even in wealth management, even in like the valuations or mergers and acquisitions, everywhere you'd see this concept.
Mm-hmm.
So some of the other modules, if you ask me, the ones which I loved were on economics. I think the curriculum is great.
Oh,
Really,
okay.
really loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Derivatives, equity, So yeah, a great program all in all.
Oh, okay. So if we talk about the depth of learning, comparing MBA and MBA finance and CFA, so what do you think has which has more depth?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, right? So MBA is more broad, right? Well, CFA is broad as well as deep, right? It's very focused,
Mm-hmm.
for finance, I would
Mm-hmm.
say enthusiasts and ones looking to build out a career here. So
Mm-hmm.
MBA is not just about teaching you the hard skills, right? I think a very important part of MBA is the soft skills or life skills broadly, which it teaches you. So
Okay.
I mean, hard skills is just one aspect, but I think equally important or even more important is the decision making, or
Mm-hmm.
like the prioritization that you learn and
Mm-hmm.
identifying of your own strengths, like I mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
that you would be exposed to a lot of different things, right from your
Mm-hmm.
day one at MBA.
Mm-hmm.
what is it that you prioritize, right? And where do you really, so do you, and then decision making gets tested, right? Seriously, that whether you have sort of taken the right decisions, and
Mm-hmm.
have you, identified yourself to be strong in a field where your skills lie, or has there been like a mismatch of sorts? So I think MBA is more comprehensive in terms of that, and being, able to network more, and developing, other skills like communication,
Mm-hmm.
presentation, etc. But for, as a subject, if you talk about, CFA is the one which is, I think, which wins in terms of the curriculum and development of in-depth expertise.
Oh, okay. Uh, so I think in MBA, I think soft skills are given a lot of importance. I think so, right? Uh,
Definitely, yes,
okay.
yes, yes. Soft skills are given a lot of importance, and
Mm-hmm.
like I said, it's more
Mm-hmm.
about, it tests you, whether you are like a self-starter, do you take ownership of the
Mm-hmm.
tasks you're involved in,
Mm-hmm.
how diligent you are,
Mm-hmm.
so what sort of interpersonal skills you have. So all of that, which again are, as even you would appreciate, that it's very important in the real world industry, rather than just having the technical skills.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, that's where MBA has an advantage.
Mm-hmm. So we have talked about various skills which learned in MBA and CFA. So when you learned all these and when you were ready for your uh, work life, so did you how did you bridge the gap between all the learnings you took from MBA and CFA and the uh, work life requirements if you're working for any corporate? How did you bridge the gap?
Yeah. So, so see, like we talked about the hard skills, right, which we get exposure to in MBA.
Mm-hmm.
So, and CFA. So I believe uh, your learning might have, might have happened in a different shape or form when you were going through your MBA or CFA, but the principles remain the same, right? So the principal concepts really are helpful when you are trying to apply, those skills to your work. So, like, giving an example, right, in terms of hard skills, the one I believe which would be the most valuable is to be able to read and analyze financial statements, right?
Mm-hmm.
We know that financial statements are the be all and end all of any company, financial institution, or even an individual.
Mm-hmm.
So, doesn't matter which particular niche field you are into finance, this always is very crucial. So it's like it's a snapshot of all that's, been done by an entity during a given period of time, and it's condensed like a report card. So I think being um being good at it really pays off,
Mm-hmm.
if you are starting your career and you're trying to, grow in that, and not just being able to read, but also, determining various measures of profitability, leverage, solvency,
Mm-hmm.
coverage ratios, for any company, and being able to identify, what's beyond the apparent. So
Okay.
that sort of expertise is, when you've sort of gone through a lot of them, and you really like analyzing those statements. So that is one thing which I think has been very valuable for me too.
Okay, great. So, so even at this point in your career, do you still learn new things in finance, new theories? Do you still?
Yes, yes, yes. A lot. So, so learning, I think, is a continuous process. You never stop learning. For instance, in terms of financial theories, like you mentioned, just the other day, I was reading about asset-backed securities and structured finance. And there's a lot of good material and resources available, when you look for it. So ones like Investopedia is there, and then CFA Institute itself has very good articles, and they publish a lot of readings, on a regular basis. There's another called as Corporate Finance Institute. So yes, I mean, I really like to keep abreast with all of the developments and the theories which are there. I might just revise the ones I've studied earlier, but definitely yes, I still you know keep myself updated with those and like learning about
Mm-hmm.
the theories.
Oh, okay. So after you started being a professional, like after you started working, has your understanding of finance evolved, or is it still, or is it still, is it was this still the same?
No, I would say that once you learn about the theories, in any
Mm-hmm.
educational program, and after that, when you start applying them to practice in real world scenarios, your understanding of them really, shoots up. It really
Mm-hmm.
gets enhanced because that's where you start understanding, like what's the importance of this as a model, and what are the sort of inferences we can derive from it and other things. So
Mm-hmm.
like giving examples again, right? Like risk management is very dominant field, in financial services. So
Mm-hmm.
in college, you would study concepts like value at risk and your other tail risk measures, conditional VAR,
Mm-hmm.
um, things like you know um, you have a lot of different concepts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like normal distributions and all. So what I mean to say is when you are like really observing them in terms of, say, if you're doing a portfolio level analysis and you calculate the ratios, Sharp ratio, Sortino ratio, or you just look at the distributions, right,
Mm-hmm.
of returns, you tend to appreciate those theories even more, when you've started
Mm-hmm.
applying those. So
Okay.
same goes with, any of the financial ratios that
Mm-hmm.
you've learned about. Same goes with like mergers and acquisitions as a subject when you study it. Okay, it's good, right? But when you are actually involved in any sort of IB deal where, valuations are happening and you're really calculating the value of a target company and,
Mm-hmm.
applying all those concepts, it's like really it gets ingrained in your mind.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. So, talking about the concepts only which you mentioned. So this is just a casual question. So have you ever applied these
Hmm.
concepts outside your professional life? Maybe in some of your day-to-day thing like budgeting or something. So has any financial concepts you have used any concepts to make your life better, personal life better?
Yeah, I would say oftentimes, and we don't even realize that we are using those concepts. So like one which I remember very distinctly is the rule of 72, right? So it's like given a certain rate of interest, what's
Mm-hmm.
the time frame required in terms of
Double,
number of years for your investment to get doubled, right?
double.
it's a it's a very handy rule. And like if I need X amount of money after 10 years, right,
Mm-hmm.
I would need to know that what's the sort of money I need to invest at this rate of interest. Or if I know the
Mm-hmm.
initial investment, then I can calculate the rate of interest. And not just
Mm-hmm.
that, I mean, you can apply it on inflation also, in
Mm-hmm.
terms of how much your value of your money would depreciate, right, at a given
Mm-hmm.
say inflation rate. So I think concepts like these we just keep on applying. Same goes with, say, like the life insurances, of
Mm-hmm.
which have two components, your earnings and your dependents, and what's the sort of time frame you need to be covered. So all of these concepts we just keep on using
Mm-hmm.
in terms of the
Mm-hmm.
personal finance, and I think their roots lie in the actual concepts that we have studied during any of these programs, right? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, that was interesting. So, one more question is how much theory we are learning as students today would be useful tomorrow in our professional life? So you are in the professional life and I am as a student. So, how much learning of mine would be useful according to you?
Correct. So See, I believe the theory that you are learning today is of paramount importance because most of the concepts, like we discussed, you might learn them in different shape or form today, but principally they remain the same. And those will definitely be applied in your working life. So it also depends on the kind of field you are into, right? If you are more into, like, say, fixed income research, right,
Mhm.
for bonds, and you're calculating the durations and interest rate sensitivities, etc. So you may not use a lot of concepts from, say, derivatives, right, or
Mhm.
alternative investments. So it
Mhm.
just depends on the field, which you ultimately become specialized in. But
Mhm.
having said that, I believe the applicability of, or the direct applicability of the concepts being taught, in these MBA programs as well as CFA, definitely, this is very high, right? So
Mhm.
one should really focus on them at this stage.
And is there any skill which you recommend that students should focus on more to have a bright career in finance?
No, not really, unless you are pretty sure of getting into a certain specialized field. Like if equity research is you know, um, what you want to go into. So then it would be, the skills related to that, and like discounted cash flows, valuations, etc. But in general, I think one needs to keep the options open at this point and
Mhm.
just uniformly study, everything that's being taught, be it like
Mhm.
portfolio management, risk management, derivatives, and all. Um, I don't think you should focus on any one particular field, right? I mean,
Mhm.
everything is very important in terms of, your career development. I think one
Mhm.
thing which might be looked at is, these, I think risk management, as we talked about, it's growing in prominence a lot in the industry, especially after the financial crisis that we've
Mhm.
been through. So, there are a lot of hedging instruments and strategies, that are used, right from the level of firm, financial institutions, and individuals. So I think that is just one good thing for understanding of, how the markets work,
Mhm.
and what are some of the risk mitigation measures, because risk is like uniformly, I would say, an important um, consideration,
Mhm.
across the industry. So that is one thing which I would say might be a bit less focused on during MBA, which can be supplemented through other courses and all. But yeah, other than that, I think it's pretty comprehensive, and everything is well covered.
Mhm. Oh. So, you talked about options. So, what are all the options available in finance? You mentioned a few like portfolio and derivatives and risk. So these are some of the career options which you said. What do you think?
Yeah.
Is there a specific list? Is there a specific number of options, or there are many options according to you?
So see, there are a lot of options, right? It's a very broad field, finance as a whole. But you can, I think, try to target them better if you try to categorize, the career options into, say, four or five different categories. So one is all your capital markets oriented roles, right? Which would involve all the investment banking rules and, the research side of things, equity research, valuations, quantitative modeling, and
Mhm.
roles like that. The others would be in compliance, risk management, internal audit. Within risk, you can have like liquidity risk, credit risk, market risk,
Mhm.
operational risks, and so on. You have a lot of different, options available for that. Then
Mhm.
you have internal audit and compliance and regulatory oriented roles, right? So that
Mhm.
I would say is the second category. Third category would be your corporate finance, and let's add accounting also to that, because those are inward looking roles, and those relate to the firm itself that you are working with, so like
Mhm.
capital budgeting,
Mhm.
um, financial planning and analysis,
Mhm.
all of the typical, accounting oriented roles like finance control and
Mm-hmm.
P&L management. So those kinds of roles. And then at the end, you have consulting and strategy roles also, which you can say it's the fourth category, right? So
Mm-hmm.
again, a lot of things, they encompass a lot of career options as well these days. In like in these big four companies, there are options available for that. You might have roles in project finance and appraisal, know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, broadly, I think it helps if you sort of understand them in terms of the various categories available, to make a
Mm-hmm.
career in.
Mm-hmm. Has technology impacted roles in any way? Like, is there any new roles created, or are there any modifications in the role because of technology?
Yes, I would say, and in a big way. So what happens is the roles themselves keep on getting modified, right, with the advent of technology. So these days, if you see, like instead of there being a lot of traditional finance roles, there are roles at the intersection of finance and data science, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they would need skills in, say, Python, R, SQL, or you would need some data visualization skills like from Tableau or Power BI. There are n number of tools available, which can
Mm-hmm.
be learned. Same happens with the modeling kind of roles as well. A lot of technology is involved there, and you would see
Mm-hmm.
like engineers doing very well in those fields. People who
Mm-hmm.
have done computer engineering, or people from, say, a statistical background.
Mm-hmm.
So they tend to excel in those roles. So yes, I think technology definitely impacts all these roles in a big way. A lot of roles, are changed in the way, they take place day to day, right? Like operational roles, one which are more of repetitive roles, and which can be automated. So you'll see a lot of automated tools being developed by companies themselves, and those are sort of changing the way, you know people perform
Mm-hmm.
those roles. Maybe they get more efficient at performing those roles. They can do a larger amount of work with the help of those tools. So yes, I think it's a continuous process. It's nothing new. I
Mm-hmm.
think with the advent of AI and all these large language models, you'll see some sort of acceleration
Mm-hmm.
in the way these roles are you know like getting modified. But
Mm-hmm.
yes, again, it's like a continuous thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's happening always, and
Mm-hmm.
yes,
Okay.
inevitable, but good, to have technology influence
Mm-hmm.
these.
Oh, okay. Okay, so the last question. So you mentioned many roles here. So if I want to transition from one role to the other, how difficult it is, and what do I need to do? Uh, what do I need to learn more, or do I need to do something more to get to another role? So how that could take place?
So I think developing skills in the particular role that you are targeting is always the first step, right? If you
Mhm.
feel that you sort of need to brush up on some of the skills, or gain some more in-depth expertise in any of the domains, there are lots of resources available, right? Like
Mhm.
CFA, of course, is one, which is like a, I would say it involves a lot of time commitment, and basically a long-term kind of program that you can enroll yourself in. But you have specialized ones as well, like FRM is particularly for risk management. You have CFP, you have CFQ. So these courses target those particular fields, like wealth management. If you are targeting, then probably financial planning courses help, right?
Mhm.
And
Okay.
quantitative finance, for quantitative finance you can target like courses like the appropriate ones, CFQ and all. And other than that, you have a lot of other courses being offered by these universities through edX, all the top universities, edX, Coursera. And within India you have like NSC, NISM certified courses. So I think developing skill sets are really helps you, and really um, can aid you in transitioning to a new role as such, if you don't have prior experience in that. And yeah, I mean, other than that, I think you have multitude of options available within companies these days are promoting internal job postings as well. So within the company, you'll have a lot of other roles which you can apply to. And, if you've performed well in your existing role, then they are like more than supportive of transitioning you to a new one. Or, there are other companies and stuff. So no
Mm,
dearth of opportunities available. Yeah,
mm,
one just needs to be updated in terms of the knowledge and skill sets, and then I think it's not difficult.
okay, great. So I think that's all from my side. That were all the questions, and it was really great to learn from you, sir. And I think I have taken takeaway. It's been a big takeaway from for me. Hopefully, for everyone who watches this video, also they can learn a lot. Thank you again, sir. Thank you so
Sure.
much.
Great
So,
interacting with you, Anto, and have a nice day. And
yes,
yeah, all the best for your final year of MBA.
thank, thank you so much, sir.
Okay.